Have you ever had that feeling like there's more to your story? Maybe you walked into a movie halfway through and you're kind of trying to piece together what happened before?
Uh-huh. That sense of a backstory you just can't quite grasp.
Exactly, yeah. Well, today, we're diving deep into something that speaks right to that feeling.
Mm.
The Akashic Records. Our source material, particularly from Bienco on YouTube, calls them Teng Tu Akashic.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating, I think, is that this isn't some, new age trend that just popped up.
Right.
This idea of the Akashic Records, this vast, timeless field holding the memories of every single soul's journey, it's ancient, really ancient. It's more like a fundamental way of understanding consciousness itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Forget like dusty old scrolls in a library. Picture more of a cosmic internet,
Yeah.
a vibrational archive holding not just, the big events of your life,
Mm.
but the feelings, the intentions behind actions, the lessons learned. It's like the energetic signature of every single experience.
And not just for you, right? It's
Yeah.
for everyone, every soul.
Yes. So if you've ever felt that your life right now is maybe part of a much bigger picture, a larger narrative, well, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're going to try and unpack what these Akashic records really are.
Where the whole idea even comes from.
Yeah, where it came from, why it might resonate so strongly with people, maybe with you listening right now, and I guess what it could all mean for how you see yourself in your journey.
Okay, so let's get down to basics first. What are the Akashic Records, according to our source?
Well, the first thing stressed is they're not a physical book.
Right, or like a specific place you can point to on a map. It's more, think of a dimension that exists beyond our usual sense of space and time, a non-physical realm, a field of consciousness, really. It acts almost like an immense spiritual database.
I like that. And that phrase, vibrational archive, really sticks, doesn't it? It's like everything you do, think, feel it, leaves an energetic imprint, a resonance.
Mm-hmm. A resonance. And it's not just temporary, it's somehow stored, recorded in this field.
The whole spectrum of experience for every soul, every event. It's not some exclusive club. It's like the very fabric of consciousness remembering itself.
And the roots of this idea, they go deep, so deep. The term Akashic, it comes from Sanskrit, Akasha.
Like Akasha, meaning.
It means ether or spirit.
Yeah.
In ancient Indian cosmology, Akasha wasn't just poetry, it was seen as the fifth element, earth, air, fire, water, and Akasha.
The fundamental stuff.
Exactly, the subtle energy that everything else originates from. For them, it was the invisible thread connecting everything, the medium for, well, divine intelligence, you could say.
Okay, so Akasha is the medium, and the Akashic records are the memories held within that medium. That makes sense.
Precisely. And like you said earlier, this isn't just one isolated belief system. That's what's so striking.
Yeah, you see hints of it everywhere, don't you?
You really do. The source mentions the Book of Life in Jewish tradition.
Uh-huh.
The ancient Egyptians had their Hall of Records.
Right.
In Islam, there's the concept of Allah al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. It's fascinating.
And then later thinkers like Blavatsky, Rudolf Steiner, they were talking about a spiritual memory field too.
Yeah, they were sort of recalling or reinterpreting this very ancient wisdom, this idea of a layer of reality beyond just our five senses. It suggests a really persistent human intuition about this.
Okay, so here's where it might start to really connect for people listening. Have you ever wondered, say, why you're naturally good at something you never formally learned?
Or maybe an unexplained fear, something that just seems older than your current life.
Exactly. Or even just a really intense emotional reaction to a person or a place that doesn't seem to make logical sense based on this life's experiences.
The source suggests these might not be random quirks. They could be. Well, echoes. Lingering vibrations from the Akashic Records.
Implying that you're more than just your current circumstances, right?
Yeah.
You're a soul carrying layers of experience.
Yeah, layers that form patterns, almost like themes or lessons in a bigger learning program your soul agreed to explore, and until you become aware of these patterns.
Repeat.
That's the idea presented. They tend to repeat maybe in different forms, sometimes across lifetimes, until the lesson is integrated.
So the potential here, it's huge. If you start to notice these patterns, the Akashic Records shift from being this like abstract concept to maybe a practical tool for self-understanding, like getting a peek at your soul's syllabus.
Exactly. Which brings us to a really crucial point the source makes, accessing them.
Right. Are they locked away? Do you need a special key?
Not according to this perspective. It's not that they're restricted or forbidden. It's more that, well, most of us just aren't aware they exist or how to tune in.
We're taught to look outwards for answers, aren't we? Books, experts, data.
Society generally points us outside. But the Akashic Records suggest that the ultimate knowledge, the deepest understanding, is actually remembered from within.
That's a massive shift in perspective. So you don't need to be a guru or a psychic.
Apparently not. What you might need, the source suggests, is inner stillness. Cultivating that quiet space inside where you can start to hear those subtle echoes that are maybe already there.
So it's about intention, sincerity, being ready to listen.
Exactly. The Akashic field is said to respond to that, to intention, to genuine curiosity, and a readiness to perhaps see things differently.
So maybe the question isn't if you can access them, but more about creating the conditions to perceive them.
And historically, people did connect with this long before the term Akashic Records was coined.
Through intuition, visions.
Yeah, intuition, prophecy, deep mystical states. They brought back insights, often not in neat sentences, but maybe as feelings, images, light. A direct knowing.
The kind of vibrational download, maybe?
You could put it that way. They experienced it directly, not necessarily analyzed it as a record. It was perceived with the whole being, not just the intellect.
And you see this across cultures. The source mentions, like the Vedic rishis in India.
Who saw Akasha as the foundation of everything.
Tibetan mystics, talking about consciousness flowing across lifetimes.
The Druids, Egyptians, Gnostics, Mayans, they all had their own terms, their own symbols.
But pointing to the same fundamental idea.
It seems so. A hidden dimension holding memory, accessible not through physical means, but through frequency, through resonance, guarded not by walls, but by vibration.
Okay, so if this understanding was so widespread, so ancient, what happened? Why isn't it common knowledge now?
Well, this is where the source gets quite critical. It proposes that this knowledge wasn't just sort of lost or forgotten.
Yeah.
It suggests it was actively, even systematically dismantled, marginalized by institutions, by power structures that felt, frankly, threatened by its implications.
Threatened? Why? What's so threatening about it?
Think about it. If your soul holds memories beyond this one life, if ultimate authority and wisdom reside within you, accessible directly.
That challenges external authority, doesn't it? Religious institutions, political systems, systems built on controlling information and telling you who you are.
Precisely. The idea that you're not defined solely by your current nationality or religion or even biology, that you have a deeper, continuous identity that can be deeply subversive to those structures.
And the source points to historical examples.
Yes. Periods where indigenous cultures with strong oral traditions about soul memory and past lives were violently suppressed.
Right. Colonization, religious conversion.
Exactly. Sacred rituals, practices maybe designed to access this intuitive knowing were forbidden, demonized. History was often rewritten to sever that connection.
So it's like a deliberate severing from inner knowing.
That's the argument presented. And even today, the source notes the whole idea is often dismissed. Pseudoscience, woo-woo.
Yeah, you hear that a lot.
But the critics, the source argues, struggle to explain certain phenomena convincingly within the purely materialistic model. Like
Kids with verifiable past life memories.
that's a big one. Or shared dream motifs appearing among strangers. Or just how remarkably similar ancient texts from disconnected cultures describe these experiences of soul memory.
So the issue isn't necessarily a lack of evidence, but that the evidence doesn't fit the dominant story.
That's the perspective offered. It challenges the narrative. And think about our modern society, often based on consumption, on fitting in, on obedience. Does that kind of society easily embrace individuals who question their identity beyond this life, who question the completeness of the stories they're told?
Probably not. We're given a neat package, aren't we? Name, job, family history, birth certificate to death certificate. That's your story.
A limited story. But the source suggests that beneath that imposed narrative, there's an older, truer story. It whispers in dreams, in moments of stillness.
When your own inner knowing surfaces.
Exactly. And this isn't about attacking religion, the source clarifies. It's about reclaiming a truth that might have been obscured by force, by ridicule, by distraction, by a kind of induced amnesia.
And maybe the reason we're talking about this now, the reason you might be hearing this, is part of a shift, a reawakening.
That's what the source suggests is happening. A growing number of people are feeling this pull, this resonance. Perhaps it's not about learning something totally new.
But remembering something.
Remembering something timeless, something maybe your ancestors knew before it was pushed aside, something your soul keeps trying to tell you.
Wow. When you grasp that history isn't just in books, but it's also encoded in your energy, in your frequency, that changes everything.
It starts to shift the power back to you. You begin to reclaim the story only you can truly write.
And the amazing thing, according to the source, is that accessing this doesn't require, a library card to some celestial library.
No institutional permission slips needed.
No PhD, no climbing some spiritual ladder. They were meant to be felt, remembered, lived with.
Yeah. It's less about intellect, more about vibration. You don't read them with your eyes, you align with them, like tuning a radio dial. You adjust your own perception, your own frequency.
And this alignment, how does it happen?
Well, traditionally, deep meditation is one path. Altered states of consciousness. Dreams, especially those really vivid ones that feel like other lives or forgotten memories. But spontaneous access can happen too. Moments of extreme grief or profound joy or just complete stillness when the usual mental chatter fades.
But the constant point of access, the source suggests, its presence, being right here, right now.
That seems to be key. You can't muscle your way in. It's more of a yielding, a gentle surrender into a state of deep, genuine awareness where your energy naturally resonates with the frequency of truth itself.
So what's it actually like? If someone does tap in, what do they experience?
Well, descriptions vary, of course, but mystics and sages often talk about it as a vibrational field. Information isn't structured like, say, reading a Wikipedia page.
No bullet points.
Probably not. It's more like direct knowing, a resonance that you feel.
Some people perceive it visually, right?
Yeah.
Like the library image or maybe an ancient temple.
Yes, those are common archetypes. Others might experience it through colors, sounds, even abstract symbols that you can't easily translate into words, but they resonate deeply on an emotional level.
So the key is that it bypasses the logical, analytical mind. It's more soul-to-soul communication.
That's the essence of it, yes. And today, people use various methods to try and consciously foster this connection.
We mentioned guided meditation. Specific prayers, like the Linda Howe Pathway prayer process, is one the source mentions.
Automatic writing, certain breathwork techniques, even things like specific herbs, lucid dreaming, or out-of-body experiences are sometimes used as gateways.
But there's no single magic bullet, is there? No one technique works for everyone.
Absolutely not. The source really emphasizes that the intention is more important than the method. Approaching it with reverence, with genuine curiosity, and a real willingness to be transformed, that's what invites a response.
And it might not always be, rainbows and unicorns.
Definitely not. The records can reveal uncomfortable truths, patterns, recurring loops across lifetimes, old wounds that still need healing.
But also, the flip side.
Yes. Also, the illumination of your untapped power, your ancient strengths waiting to be remembered. It often brings clarity and this deep whisper that you are so much greater, so much more capable than you've been led to believe.
It's interesting, too, how the source talks about unconscious access.
Right. This happens all the time, apparently. That intuitive nudge that saves you from making a bad decision.
Or that weird feeling you know what someone's about to say.
Exactly. Or that inexplicable pull towards a certain place or a person you've just met but feel like you've known forever.
These aren't just coincidences, then.
The source suggests they're echoes, glimpses behind the veil, your soul trying to get a message through, basically amidst all the noise of a world often designed to keep us, unconscious.
So accessing the Akashic Records isn't about escaping the world, like floating off somewhere.
Not at all. It's actually about fully embodying your true self within this world, seeing reality more clearly, beyond illusion and imposition, getting to the root of things.
It's active, then. This kind of remembering prompts change.
Definitely. It can change how you navigate life, reshape how you respond to challenges, alter your perception of other people, transform the very story you tell yourself about yourself.
Once you glimpse your place in that infinite context, it's hard to go back to feeling small or powerless.
That's the idea. You arrived with this soul-level blueprint shaped by lifetimes of experience, intention, consequence. And it's all contained, in essence, within the Akashic Records.
Let's talk more about that blueprint. The records don't just record the past. They map the energetic residue, what some call karma.
Right, or soul memory. It forms the spiritual architecture of your evolution. And karma, the source suggests, is often misunderstood. It's not divine punishment.
More like memory, momentum.
Exactly. Energy resonating forward, seeking resolution, balance, growth. Like an unfinished musical chord wanting to resolve.
So past experiences create present tendencies.
That's one way to look at it. Maybe past betrayals fuel a strong urge to protect others now. Or suppressing your truth back then leads to an overwhelming need to speak out this time.
They're not random personality quirks, but energetic threads, weaving continuity into the soul's story.
Precisely. And then there's the idea of soul contracts.
Ah, yes.
Sure.
Agreements made before we even got
At
here.
a soul level, yes. Intentions to meet specific people, face certain challenges, learn designated lessons. That really difficult relationship. That mentor who appeared at just the right time.
Maybe not just coincidence.
Maybe part of a deeper agreement designed to spark growth for everyone involved. The records might offer glimpses into the purpose behind these contracts, not to avoid the pain, perhaps, but to understand the lesson.
Which makes the records less like a history book and more like a mirror, reflecting our transformative potential.
Beautifully put, yeah. Accessing your blueprint shifts how you see challenges. Instead of why me, maybe it becomes what am I learning here?
Start seeing the patterns, the same lessons showing up in different clothes.
Same types of suffering, same fear, same self-sabotaging loops. But recognizing the pattern is the first step to rewriting it. Awareness breaks the cycle. Conscious choice seeds transformation.
And it's not all about wounds and challenges, is it? The source mentions gifts, too.
Absolutely crucial. Wisdom travels across lifetimes, too. Talents, strengths, maybe even psychic abilities, these can be carried over. That skill you just have.
Could be something honed over millennia?
Possibly. The records help you recall not just the source of your pain, but the source of your inherent power.
And understanding your unique blueprint. It kind of dissolves the need to compare yourself to others, doesn't it?
It really does. It fosters respect for your own process, releases that pressure to rush or blame yourself. You start to trust that challenges aren't just roadblocks, they're activations. Sacred assignments, even.
But maybe the most liberating part is that this blueprint isn't set in stone.
Yes, that's so important. The past shapes the present, but it doesn't imprison the future. Karma isn't a life sentence. Soul contracts can evolve, be renegotiated, patterns can be broken.
It's not fate, it's awareness.
Exactly. The records offer a map, but you hold the pen. You choose whether to trace over the old lines or draw completely new ones.
So when we ask, what's my purpose? We're not waiting for an answer from outside.
We're being invited to remember the wisdom our soul already carries. The blueprint is within. The Akashic Records are just the key to decoding it.
Now, this all sounds quite mystical, spiritual, but the source also brings up potential links to modern science.
Yeah, which is fascinating. Emerging ideas in physics, consciousness studies, they're starting to challenge our basic assumptions about reality in ways that might, just might, align with this ancient concept.
Obviously, mainstream science hasn't exactly embraced the Akashic Records.
No, largely because they don't fit the dominant materialistic model. You can't put them under a microscope or easily quantify them.
But then again, you can't easily quantify consciousness itself, can you?
Yeah.
Or thoughts, dreams, memories.
Yeah.
Yet we know they're real.
Exactly. The source uses the analogy of, like, internet signals. Invisible, non-physical, yet carrying vast amounts of information. Invisible doesn't mean unreal.
And physics itself tells us reality isn't solid at its core, right? Quantum level, it's all interconnected energy vibrations.
What we see as solid is just a dense configuration of frequencies. And there's this growing view that maybe information is even more fundamental to the universe than matter or energy.
Which makes a vast information field less fantastical.
Perhaps more like a plausible model. The source mentions Ervin Laszlo, the systems theorist,
Nobel Peace Prize nominee.
twice. He actually proposed the Akashic field as a scientific concept, a universal information field underlying everything. He argues the universe isn't random, but coherent, guided by information stored in this field. He sees direct parallels between advanced physics and this timeless spiritual wisdom.
He thinks it's a scientific imperative, not just imagination.
That's his view. And then there's the holographic universe theory.
Boom and Prebrum, the idea that every part contains the whole.
Yeah. If the universe functions like a hologram, then theoretically, all information is encoded everywhere, simultaneously, accessible from any point.
So these theories don't prove the Akashic Records in a lab.
No, not in the traditional sense, but they crack open the door, don't they? They challenge that old picture of us being isolated bits of matter in a dead mechanical universe.
They point towards something more interconnected, intelligent, full of memory.
Exactly. A living cosmic web. And then there are clues from human experience, too.
Near-death experiences, for instance.
Right. Often dismissed, but the consistency of reports is striking. Many describe encountering this realm of profound knowing, seeing their entire life flash before them.
The life review.
Yes, but not just seeing it, understanding the ripple effects of their actions on others. It suggests some kind of information transmission beyond linear time.
And intuition, that gut feeling.
That age-old mystery. A mother sensing her child's in danger miles away, knowing something before there's any logical evidence. It hints at cognitive processes beyond just our brains, doesn't it?
Tapping into a larger information field, a form of memory beyond our personal awareness.
It's suggestive, isn't it? The big takeaway here, I think, from the source is that considering the Akashic Records doesn't require throwing out critical thinking.
No.
It's more an invitation to recall something ancient, to entertain the possibility of a conscious, purposeful universe where our thoughts, choices, our very being are part of a living cosmic record. And maybe science is slowly, gradually starting to catch up.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's circle back to that initial feeling we talked about. For you listening, that sense that there's a bigger story to your life, that feeling that there's more going on than meets the eye, maybe that's not just imagination.
Maybe it's a genuine whisper, an echo from that vast repository of your soul's memories, the Akashic Records.
And remember, the core idea here isn't about learning some complicated new system. It feels more like remembering something incredibly old and deeply personal.
Yeah, so maybe take a moment, reflect on those times you had a strong intuition or a strange sense of déjà vu or felt an inexplicable connection to someone or somewhere.
Could those have been little glimpses, whispers from your own records?
It's worth considering. Maybe explore things that quiet the mind. Meditation, journaling, even just spending time in nature, creating that inner stillness where you might begin to hear more clearly.
Because ultimately, the message seems to be, you're not a blank slate. You arrived with this incredible, unique soul blueprint.
Packed with wisdom from countless experiences.
And the Akashic Records aren't some distant library you need a pass for. They're like a key already within you.
A key to unlocking a deeper understanding of your journey, your challenges, your gifts, your incredible potential.
The story of your life is vast, it's ongoing, and remembering its deeper layers. Well, that has the power to profoundly change how you choose to write the next chapter.